listener to Velvet Chimes in the Amber Twilight, a deeply soothing narrative crafted to guide you into a state of profound relaxation and peaceful slumber. We are so glad you've chosen to spend this quiet time with us. If you find solace in this journey and wish to explore more havens of tranquility, we warmly invite you to like this video and subscribe to our channel for future restful experiences. Before we step onto the gilded paths of the Amberwood, we will begin with a gentle breathing guidance to help your body and mind unwind. Should you wish to journey directly into the story, you can find the timestamps for each chapter in the description below. Please find a position that feels utterly comfortable for you now. Allow your body to become heavy, to sink softly into the surface beneath you, feeling fully supported, entirely at ease. Perhaps you might adjust your pillow or draw your blanket a little closer, creating a personal sanctuary of warmth and quiet. This is your time, a gentle interlude to release the day and welcome the peaceful embrace of the evening. Let the anticipated warmth of the Amberlight and the soft promise of velvet chimes begin to fill your awareness, guiding you towards deep calm. Let us now take a soft, easy breath together. Inhale gently through your nose, not forcing it, just allowing the air to enter, cool and refreshing. And as you exhale, perhaps through your mouth with a quiet sigh, feel a wave of softness move through you. With each breath, imagine your shoulders easing, your jaw softening, any tightness in your brow simply melting away. Envision the golden light of the Amberwood filtering through ancient leaves. Feel the gentle warmth on your skin and hear the faintest, most delicate chime carried on a still, sweet-scented breeze. If your thoughts begin to wander, as they sometimes do, simply acknowledge them without judgment, like leaves drifting by on a slow, clear stream. Then, gently guide your attention back to the rhythm of your breath, or to the sound of my voice. There is nothing else you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. Just listen and allow the peaceful cadence of our story to carry you into a state of restful repose. Feel the gentle pulse of the ancient forest, a steady, quiet rhythm that encourages your own heart to beat softly and calmly. Let yourself be enveloped by the serene harmony of the Amberwood. As we begin our journey, allow its gentle magic, the soft light, and the soothing velvet chimes to cradle you, bringing a deep sense of peace, contentment, and the promise of truly restorative sleep. Now, let us step quietly into the Amberwood, where the velvet chimes await to weave their gentle spell. Chapter 1. The Gilded Path begins. The edge of the Amberwood beckoned to Alistair with a silence unlike any he had known. It was not an empty silence, but one filled with an ancient, breathing stillness, a gentle pause in the world's turning. He stood for a long moment, his worn satchel resting lightly against his hip, simply absorbing the transition. Behind him lay the muted greens and browns of the common meadows, but before him the world seemed dipped in honeyed light, a soft, pervasive amber glow that filtered through the canopy of trees whose leaves were the colour of autumn sunsets, even though it was, by all accounts, the height of summer. The air itself felt different here. It was warmer, certainly, but also softer, as if it were a tangible substance, like fine silken wool caressing his skin. It carried the faintest scent of old resin, the sweet earthy perfume of moss, and something else, something uniquely floral and deeply calming that he couldn't quite name. He took a slow, deliberate breath, feeling it fill his lungs not just with air, but with the very essence of this tranquil place. His shoulders, often unconsciously hunched from hours spent poring over ledgers and ancient texts, began to subtly release their accustomed tension. He took his first step onto the path, a trail barely discernible from the forest floor, yet clearly inviting. It was carpeted with a thick layer of fallen leaves, each one a perfect miniature of the amber-hued foliage above. They crunched ever so softly under his worn leather boots, a sound like distant, whispered secrets, a gentle welcome. With each step, the pressure and release of his footfall felt grounding, connecting him to the soft earth beneath. The ambient light, that remarkable constant amber, dappled the path in shifting patterns like golden coins scattered by a generous hand. Looking up, Alistair marvelled at the trees. They were unlike any he had seen in his extensive readings. Their bark was smooth and a pale creamy gold, and their branches reached upwards and outwards in graceful, embracing arcs. The leaves, broad and intricately veined, glowed with an internal luminescence, each one a tiny lantern contributing to the forest's overall gentle radiance. There was no harshness here, no stark shadows, only varying degrees of warm golden light. As he ventured further, the sounds of the outside world, the distant call of a shepherd, the rustle of wind in ordinary fields, faded completely, replaced by a profound quiet. Yet, within this quiet, subtle sounds began to emerge, the faintest sighing, as if the trees themselves were breathing, the almost inaudible skitter of some tiny, unseen creature moving amongst the roots. And then, so soft, it was almost a feeling rather than a sound, the first hint of the chimes. It was like the memory of a bell, a resonance so delicate it seemed to brush against his eardrums with the lightness of a moth's wing. It was not a distinct note, not yet, but rather a shimmering in the air, a suggestion of melody. Alistair paused, his head tilted, trying to locate its source, but it seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, woven into the very fabric of the Amberwood's atmosphere. A gentle curiosity, unburdened by urgency or expectation, began to bloom within him. This was not a quest for knowledge, like his usual pursuits, but a quiet exploration, an immersion. He felt no need to hurry, no desire to conquer or categorize. The forest asked nothing of him but his presence, his quiet attention. With another slow breath, feeling a warmth spread through his chest, as if the amber light itself was seeping into him, Alistair continued his unhurried pace. curve gently, leading him deeper into the heart of the golden light, each step taking him further from the familiar and closer to a peace he had only ever dreamed of. The feeling of the soft air, the gentle crunch of leaves, the embracing warmth of the light. It was all a lullaby for the weary soul. He noticed small details, a perfectly formed dewdrop clinging to the tip of a fern, reflecting the amber light like a tiny jewel, a pattern of lichen on a fallen log, intricate as any illustration in his beloved books, the way the light caught the fine hairs on a strand of spider silk, turning it into a thread of pure gold. These tiny wonders, previously unnoticed in his more focused life, now presented themselves with a quiet insistence, each one a small, perfect note in the symphony of the Amberwood. Chapter 2. Echoes among the Amberlit trees. The path, if it could still be called such, meandered with the gentle indecision of a slow stream, leading Alistair deeper into the Amberwood's embrace. The trees stood closer now, their luminous canopies merging overhead to create a continuous ceiling of soft golden light. It was like walking through the heart of a perfectly ripe apricot. The world suffused with a gentle, honeyed glow that seemed to soothe the very marrow of his bones. He felt a pleasant weight in his limbs, a comfortable heaviness that encouraged a slower, more deliberate pace. He came upon a small clearing, a place where the trees stepped back slightly, allowing the amber light to pool and deepen, as if a gentle sunbeam had been captured and held in liquid form. At the centre of this clearing lay a large, moss-covered log, its surface a tapestry of deep greens and soft golds, looking as inviting as any finely upholstered armchair. Alistair felt a natural pull towards it, a gentle invitation to rest. He carefully brushed aside a few fallen leaves and sat, the moss yielding softly beneath him, cool and yet strangely comforting to the touch. It was here, in the profound stillness of the clearing, that the velvet chimes truly began to reveal themselves. At first, it was just a single, incredibly soft tone, like the distant ringing of a tiny bell made of the finest, thinnest crystal, but wrapped in velvet. Then another joined it, a fraction lower, resonating with a gentle hum that seemed to vibrate in the air itself. Soon, a delicate cascade of these notes followed, never loud, never jarring, each one distinct, yet blending into a harmonious, ever-shifting melody. They were indeed like velvet, soft to the ear, rich in their quiet complexity. Alistair closed his eyes, the better to focus on the sound. The chimes seemed to emanate from the spaces between the leaves, from the air itself, as if the forest was singing its own quiet song. The melodies were not structured in any way he recognized. They rose and fell with the unpredictability of a gentle breeze, sometimes a solitary note hanging in the air like a luminous pearl, sometimes a soft flurry of sound like whispered secrets. He felt his breathing deepen, slowing to match the unhurried cadence of the chimes. As he sat, lost in the gentle music, he became aware aware of other subtle presences. Tiny luminous insects, no larger than a dewdrop, began to flit through the clearing. They were the lumina moths he had read about in half-forgotten lore, their wings shimmering with a soft internal white light that pulsed gently. They danced in the amber air, their movements slow and graceful, like tiny stars performing a silent ballet. Watching them was mesmerizing, their gentle glow adding another layer of peaceful magic to the scene. A profound sense of peace, deeper than any he had experienced before, settled over Alistair. It was not the absence of thought, but rather a quieting of the usual chatter, a gentle slowing of the mind's restless turning. Worries that had seemed so pressing only hours before now felt distant, smoothed over, like pebbles worn round by a patient stream. He felt no need to analyse the chimes or categorise the moths. He simply allowed himself to be present, to receive the gifts of the forest. He opened his eyes and gazed around the clearing. The amber light seemed to caress every surface, highlighting the delicate veins in a fallen leaf, the intricate texture of the moss on the log beside him, the smooth, pale bark of the surrounding trees. He reached out a hand and gently touched the moss. It felt cool, damp, and incredibly soft, like a living velvet. He traced the delicate star-like patterns of its growth with a fingertip, a simple, grounding action. The air was still, yet it felt alive, vibrant with the unseen energy of the forest and the gentle resonance of the chimes. He could feel a subtle warmth emanating from the earth beneath him, a comforting presence. It was as if the entire forest was holding him in a gentle, luminous embrace. He leaned back against the log, feeling its solid support, and let out a slow sigh. A sigh not of weariness, but of deep, burgeoning contentment. He stayed there for a long while, simply existing in the heart of the amber glow, listening to the velvet music and watching the silent dance of the lumina moths. The passage of time seemed to lose its meaning. There was only the present moment, luminous and peaceful, a perfect, unchanging now. The feeling of the soft moss beneath him, the warmth of the light on his closed eyelids, the gentle hum that seemed to fill his very being. It was a symphony of serene sensations. Chapter 3. The Weaver of Gentle Melodies. As Alistair sat, enveloped in the tranquil embrace of the clearing, a subtle shift in the amber light caught his attention. It was not a dimming, nor a brightening, but rather a gentle stirring, as if a soft breeze had passed through, though the air remained perfectly still. He turned his head slowly, his movements unhurried, and saw a figure emerge from between two ancient, broad-trunked trees at the edge of the clearing. It was Seraphina, the guardian of the Amberwood he had hoped, yet not dared to expect to meet. She moved with a grace that seemed an extension of the forest itself, as if she were composed of leaf fall and sunlight, her steps making no sound upon the mossy ground. Her raiment was the colour of faded moss and old bark, blending seamlessly with her surroundings, and her themselves, and a gentle smile, like the first hint of dawn, touched her lips. "Welcome, Alistair," she said, her voice as soft as the Velvet Chimes themselves, a melody in its own right. "The Amberwood has been expecting you." Alistair felt no surprise, only a deepening of the peace that already enveloped him. He inclined his head respectfully. "The forest is more beautiful and calming than any words could describe," he replied, his own voice softer than usual. "And the chimes, they are like a balm to the spirit." Seraphina glided closer, her presence exuding a gentle warmth. "They are the breath of the Amberwood," she explained, gesturing gracefully towards the unseen sources of the music, woven from the quiet contentment of the trees, the murmur of the hidden waters, and the ancient peace that dwells here. They sing of stillness, of growth, of the gentle turning of ages. She settled beside him on the mossy log, not so much sitting as allowing herself to become part of it. "You listen well, Alistair. Many come, but few truly hear the subtleties of their song." A comfortable silence settled between them, punctuated only by the velvet notes of the chimes and the soft, rhythmic pulse of the lumina moth's light. Alistair felt no need to fill the quiet with words, content to simply share the tranquil space. After a time, Seraphina spoke again, her voice a gentle murmur. "Come, let me show you more of the forest's heart." Together, they rose and began to walk, not along a defined path, but through the trees, Seraphina leading the way with an effortless familiarity. They moved slowly, their pace matching the unhurried rhythm of the Amberwood. She pointed out small wonders Alistair might have missed. A patch of tiny, bell-shaped fungi, glowing with a faint purple light. The intricate, abandoned cocoon of a forest sprite, like spun sugar. The way the Amberlight caught the dewdrops on a spider's web, transforming it into a necklace of golden pearls. Their wanderings led them to a softly murmuring stream, its waters so clear they perfectly reflected the amber sky above. The stream flowed over smooth, rounded pebbles of pale gold and soft grey, its sound a gentle, continuous whisper, a counterpoint to the higher, more distinct notes of the chimes. The air here was cooler, carrying the fresh scent of moving water and damp ferns. Alistair felt the tension that had long resided in his shoulders, a familiar companion from years of study, finally begin to dissolve completely, as if the stream's gentle flow were carrying it away. His breath, which had already slowed, now deepened further, each inhalation cool and cleansing, each exhalation a soft release. Seraphina dipped her fingers into the water, the droplets clinging to her skin like tiny diamonds. "This stream carries the memories of the forest," she said softly. "Listen closely, and you can hear the echoes of ancient rains, the first unfurling of leaves, the contented sighs of creatures long asleep." Alistair knelt beside her, trailing his own fingers in the cool water, feeling its gentle tug, and imagined he could indeed sense those faint, timeless whispers. They walked beside the stream for some time, the only sounds their soft footfalls, the water's gentle song, and the ever-present soothing harmony of the Velvet Chimes, Seraphina shared quiet wisdom about the forest, not in long discourses, but in brief, insightful observations. How the trees supported one another, how the fallen leaves nourished new growth, how every element, from the smallest insect to the oldest tree, contributed to the forest's serene balance. Alistair listened, not just with his ears, but with his heart, feeling a sense of connection to this peaceful world and to the gentle guardian beside him, growing with each quiet moment. The warmth of the Amberlight seemed to be mirrored by a growing warmth within his own chest, a feeling of profound, gentle acceptance. Chapter 4. Listening with the Heart. Seraphina led Alistair away from the whispering stream, guiding him deeper into a part of the Amberwood where the trees grew even older and more majestic. Their vast spreading canopies created a cathedral of amberlight. Their trunks, gnarled and wise with age, were draped in thick tapestries of moss that glowed with an inner luminescence. The air here felt even stiller, imbued with a sense of profound antiquity and unbroken peace. It was here, Seraphina explained in her soft, melodious voice, that the Velvet Chimes were at their most resonant. They arrived at a small, hidden grove, almost perfectly circular, as if designed by a gentle, unseen hand. The ground was exceptionally soft, a deep carpet of fallen amber leaves, and a unique, feathery moss that felt like stepping onto a cloud. In the centre of this grove stood a single, ancient stone, smooth and grey, half buried in the moss, its surface cool to the touch. The chimes here were indeed more vibrant, not louder, but fuller, richer, as if multiple layers of their velvet melodies were woven together into an intricate, ever-changing harmony that filled the very air with its soothing vibrations. "Sit here," Seraphina gestured towards the mossy ground near the ancient stone, "and simply listen. Listen not only with your ears, Alistair, but with your whole being. Feel the sound as it touches your skin, as it resonates within your chest. Feel the warmth of the light, the soft support of the earth beneath you. Let the chimes become a part of you, and you a part of them." Alistair settled himself carefully onto the plush moss, its softness yielding and comforting. He closed his eyes, letting Seraphina's gentle instructions guide him. He focused first on the feeling of the moss beneath him, soft and cool, yet supportive. Then he brought his awareness to the warmth of the amberlight, imagining it seeping into his skin, a gentle, comforting glow that spread through his limbs, making them feel pleasantly heavy and relaxed. He noticed the faint scent of pine and damp earth, richer here, mingled with an almost honey-like fragrance he hadn't perceived before. Then he turned his full attention to the Velvet Chimes. They were all around him, a tapestry of sound so delicate and yet so profound. He tried not to analyse the notes, not to anticipate their patterns, but simply to receive them. He imagined each soft tone as a gentle touch, a soothing caress. He felt a subtle vibration in the air, a gentle thrumming that seemed to pass through him, loosening any remaining knots of tension. His breathing became exceptionally slow and even, a quiet rhythm that seemed to harmonise with the forest's own ancient pulse. As he sat in this deep state of listening, a remarkable thing began to happen. The boundaries between himself and the forest seemed to soften, to become more permeable. He could feel the gentle, rhythmic energy of the trees, the slow, patient wisdom of the ancient stone beside him, the delicate dance of the lumina moths that flitted at the edges of his awareness. It was not a loss of self, but an expansion, a gentle unfolding into a larger, more peaceful whole. He felt a quiet joy bubbling up from within, a pure, simple contentment that needed no reason, no justification. It was the joy of being, of existing in harmony with this beautiful, tranquil place. The gentle melodies of the chimes seemed to weave through his thoughts, smoothing out any rough edges, leaving only peace. He felt an understanding dawn within him, not of facts or theories, but a deeper, intuitive knowing of the interconnectedness of all things, of the gentle, benevolent spirit that pervaded the Amberwood. Seraphina sat nearby, her presence a quiet anchor of serenity. She did not speak, allowing Alistair to immerse himself fully in the experience. The only sounds were the chimes, the faint rustle of a leaf falling, the distant soft hoot of a forest owl, all blending into a perfect symphony of peace. Alistair felt as if he could sit there forever, bathed in the amber light, cradled by the velvet sound, his heart filled with a quiet, luminous gratitude. He became aware of the gentle weight of his hands resting in his lap, the feeling of his clothes against his skin, the subtle rise and fall of his chest with each slow, easy breath. These simple sensations, often overlooked, now felt rich and grounding. The forest was not asking him to do anything, only to be. And in that being, he found a profound sense of release and restoration. The ever-thinking part of his mind, the librarian always cataloguing and analysing, had finally grown quiet, content to simply observe and absorb the gentle beauty surrounding him. Chapter 5. The Resonance of Rest. Time, in the hidden grove, flowed like a slow golden river, each moment filled with the gentle resonance of the velvet chimes and the profound peace of the Amberwood. Alistair felt a deep, comfortable weariness settle upon him, not the exhaustion of a mind overwrought, but the pleasant tiredness that comes after a day spent in gentle, fulfilling activity, immersed in beauty. The constant, soothing lullaby of the chimes, combined with the warmth of the amber light and the soft bed of moss, was an irresistible invitation to rest. Seraphina, sensing his deepening relaxation, spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. The forest offers its deepest solace and true rest, Alistair. Allow yourself to drift. The chimes will weave dreams of peace for you. He found a spot beneath the broad, sheltering branches of an ancient tree at the edge of the grove, its leaves forming a particularly dense canopy of amber light. The ground here was even softer, a his satchel placed gently beside him, and felt his body sink into the yielding earth with a sigh of utter contentment. The tension he hadn't even realised he was still carrying in his neck and back seemed to melt away, absorbed by the forest floor. He gazed up through the amber leaves, watching the way the light filtered through, creating shifting patterns that were endlessly fascinating and deeply calming. The Velvet Chimes seemed to create a melody just for him, a personal lullaby that resonated with the quiet rhythm of his own heart. Each note was a gentle suggestion to let go, to release, to sink deeper into tranquility. The air was still and sweet, carrying the scent of ancient wood, damp earth, and the faintest hint of the honey-like fragrance he'd noticed earlier. His eyelids grew heavy, the amber light transforming into a soft, warm glow behind them. He felt a sensation of gentle warmth spreading from the earth beneath him, up through his body, relaxing every muscle, soothing every nerve. It was as if the Amberwood itself were cradling him, holding him safe and secure. The chimes continued their soft, velvet song, a constant, reassuring presence. As he drifted on the very edge of sleep, his thoughts became like smooth, polished stones, rolling gently in a slow stream. Images of the day floated by, the golden path, the dancing lumina moths, Seraphina's serene smile, the clear water of the whispering stream. Each memory was imbued with the same sense of peace and gentle wonder that filled him now. There were no sharp edges, no worries, only a soft, luminous contentment. And then, with a final, soft sigh, Alistair slipped into a deep, peaceful sleep. His dreams were woven from the very fabric of the Amberwood. He dreamt of walking through endless groves of amberlit trees, the Velvet Chimes, his constant companions. He dreamt of flying with the lumina moths, their gentle light guiding him through a starlit twilight. He dreamt of conversations with Seraphina, not in words, but in shared feelings of peace and understanding. It was a sleep so profound, so restorative, that it seemed to wash away years of quiet weariness. When he awoke, it was not to a jarring return to reality, but to a gentle continuation of the peace he had found. The amber light was unchanged, the velvet chimes still sang their soft melodies. He felt incredibly refreshed, as if he had slept for a timeless age, yet also as if he had just closed his eyes for a moment. A soft, warm glow resided in his heart, a feeling of quiet joy and deep inner calm. He sat up slowly, stretching his arms with a sense of newfound lightness and ease. The forest seemed to greet him with a gentle sigh of its own. Seraphina was nowhere to be seen, but he felt her presence in the peaceful air, in the gentle harmony of the chimes. He knew, with a quiet certainty, that he now carried the resonance of the Amberwood within him. The librarian, who had sought respite, had found something far more profound, a deep connection to the gentle rhythms of nature, and a quiet, unshakable peace within his own heart. He smiled, a soft, contented smile, ready to carry that peace back into his world, you.